1800 hours Pakistan Standard Time. Assalamu alaikum. This is Radio Pakistan. The news read by Sumaira Kamal. First, the headlines. Prime Minister has directed Punjab government to take all necessary steps for providing prompt and efficient services to common man. Advisor on Commerce says government will continue to provide financing facility to the textile industry to boost its capacity. China says it will encourage Chinese enterprises to invest in Pakistan to fully make the use of China-Pakistan Free Trade Protocol. At the United Nations, Pakistan says just and lasting political solution to long-running Kashmir dispute will lead to a durable peace in the region and beyond. United Nations has warned that 8 million Yemenis will likely lose all humanitarian aid next month unless urgent funds are delivered. In Pakistan Super League, Multan Sultans will take on Karachi Kings in Lahore this evening. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Imran Khan has directed Punjab government to take all necessary steps in providing prompt and efficient services to common man in the province. Talking to Punjab Chief Minister Sardar Usman Buzdar in Lahore today, the Prime Minister emphasised taking stern action against miscreants, hoarders and occupation mafia to protect the lives, property and interests of the people. During the meeting, the issues related to civil administration and law and order in Punjab province were discussed, besides a detailed briefing on the progress of development projects. Prime Minister Imran Khan says manipulation of polls through rejection of votes is one of the reasons the status quo mindset which opposes the use of electronic voting machines. In a tweet today, he mentioned that the local government elections in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa have again shown the problem of rejected votes because of double stamping. The Prime Minister recalled that the same had come out in Judicial Commission report on 2013 election. He also shared a bar graph depicting the votes rejected were greater than the winning margin. The government has approved textile policy to boost the capacity of textile industry to ensure sustainable growth in the textile exports. Addressing a news conference in Islamabad today, Advisor on Commerce Razak Dawood said the policy was approved by the Federal Cabinet at its meeting yesterday. The advisors said the policy aims at giving internationally competitive gas and electricity tariff to the textile industry. Razak Dawood said government had reduced duties on the import of raw material in the budget and this tariff rationalization has been maintained in the policy. Similarly, he said we will continue to provide financing facility to the textile industry. Razak Dawood also emphasized for greater value addition and diversification of products to tap the country's potential in textiles. China says it will encourage Chinese enterprises to invest in Pakistan to build a corridor of green development, health and digital economy, fully make the use of China-Pakistan Free Trade Protocol and increase the agricultural products from Pakistan. This was stated by Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin while responding to a question during his regular press briefing in Beijing. He said Prime Minister Imran Khan's visit to China and attendance at the opening ceremony of Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics carried on the fine tradition of mutual support between China and Pakistan. He further said during the visit, President Xi Jinping and Premier Li Keqiang met with Prime Minister Imran Khan. The spokesperson said the leadership of the two countries held important exchanges and reached consensus on deepening China-Pakistan economic corridor, expanding science, agriculture and social livelihood cooperation. This is Radio Pakistan. President Dr. Arif Alvi has emphasized the financial empowerment of women for establishment of a prosperous society. Addressing the launching ceremony of awareness campaign in Islamabad today about the reinforcement and enforcement of women's property rights legislation in Pakistan, he urged ulama and media to play their due role in sensitizing society about rights of women. He said without financial empowerment of women, all talks and steps will be of superficial and will have no impact on empowering girls and daughters in the country. The president further said strict enforcement of laws is the only way forward to ensure women empowerment in the country. At the United Nations, Pakistan has called for advancing political solutions to long-running conflicts and disputes, including Jammu and Kashmir. Addressing the Special Committee on Peacekeeping Operations, Ambassador Munir Akram said member states, particularly the UN Security Council, can support political solutions through sustained attention, especially in the case of conflicts and disputes that have persisted for a long time. He said Jammu and Kashmir dispute is one such example where the United Nations Military Observer Group in India and Pakistan has been defined for a just and lasting solution. The Pakistani ambassador said such a solution would lead to a durable peace in the region and beyond. Munir Akram said peacekeeping is most effective when it is backed by a well-defined political strategy. In Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, incarcerated senior all-party Hurriyat Conference leaders Shabbir Ahmed Shah and Naeem Ahmed Khan have urged the United Nations and world major powers to play their part in mitigating the sufferings of the Kashmiri people in the territory. In their messages from New Delhi's infamous Tihar jail, they said India's racist regime, whose hands are soaked with the blood of innocent Kashmiris, is hell-bent on stifling every voice of dissent. Meanwhile, India's notorious National Investigation Agency, backed by the personnel of Indian Army, paramilitary centres, reserve police force and police raided on at least a dozen places in the Kashmir Valley, including Srinagar, Kupwara, Baramulla, Islamabad, Kulgam and Pulwama districts. On the other hand, 58 global human rights and journalist bodies, including Human Rights Watch, Committee to Protect Journalists and Reporters Without Borders, through a letter urged the Indian authorities to release the incarcerated Kashmiri journalists Fahad Shah, Asif Sultan, Sajjad Gul and Manan Gulzar. The letter addressed to New Delhi's appointed Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha called for the withdrawal of all police investigations against the journalists. In Kathmandu, 2 Indians among 8 persons were arrested for possessing uranium-like substances which were brought from India to be sold illegally in Nepal. According to Nepal police, both Indians were natives of Bihar, while the 6 others were Nepali nationals. The arrests were made as they were preparing to sell the valuable item for 350 million rupees per kg. UN Special Envoy for Yemen, Hans Grunberg, has said that he is developing a framework to move toward an inclusive political settlement, including the establishment of a multi-track process. In a statement, he said that he will engage multiple Yemeni stakeholders, including the warning groups and political parties, to have suggestions for durable solution of the Yemen conflict. Meanwhile, United Nations has warned that 8 million Yemenis will likely lose all humanitarian aid next month unless urgent funds are delivered. In a statement, UN Humanitarian Chief Martin Griffiths said the scale of the current funding gaps in Yemen is unprecedented. Russian President Vladimir Putin has said that Moscow does not want a war in Europe amid rising tensions over Ukraine, but demanded that the issue of Kyiv's relationship with NATO be resolved in its entirety immediately. Speaking at a joint news conference after talks with German Chancellor in Moscow, he said Russia has been informed by Western powers that its neighbor would not join the transatlantic military alliance in the near future. In Pakistan Super League, Multan Sultans will take on Karachi Kings in Lahore this evening. The match will start at 7:30 p.m. Pakistan Standard Time. And finally, the weather. Cold and cloudy weather is expected in most upper parts of the country during the next 12 hours. However, light rain and light snow is likely to prevail in Upper Punjab, Upper Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Gilgit-Baltistan and Kashmir. Cold and dry weather is expected elsewhere in the country. To end the news, here are some of the headlines once again. Prime Minister has directed Punjab government to take all necessary steps for providing prompt and efficient services to common man. Advisor on Commerce says government will continue to provide financing facility to the textile industry to boost its capacity. China says it will encourage Chinese enterprises to invest in Pakistan to fully make the use of China-Pakistan Free Trade Protocol. In Pakistan Super League, Multan Sultans will take on Karachi Kings in Lahore this evening. And that is the end of the news. For more news and analyses, log on to our website radio.gov.pk and also watch live streaming of our bulletins on the link facebook.com/radio Pakistan News Official.